Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Matt Williams. I'm a tutor in politics and what is known as the Access Fellow here at Jesus College at the University of Oxford. Now, chase your dreams was what I was once told, and it's quite a common maxim, isn't it? But what are the practical, tangible steps you're supposed to take in order to obtain your dreams? Well, I've got 5 particular concrete tips that I think should hopefully help. The first of which is to live your dreams. So what I mean by that is act as if you have already obtained what you seek. Because what better way to convince someone, whether it's an employer or a university or anyone, that you are the real deal, that you're serious, than if you've got experience. And experience means just acting as if you are already doing what you aspire to do. So let's say, for example, you would really like to study medicine. Well, be a medical student for a few days. Read the sorts of things that medical students read, like scientific papers. Do perhaps some of the experiences that medical students could do if you have access to those. Act as if you are already living your dreams. And then when someone turns around and says, "Are you serious about studying medicine?" you can say, "Of course I'm serious." What we do on the Oxford University website is we publish the sorts of things that students of our subjects read. So you can take a look at them and you can read them. And then when someone turns around and says, "Do you know what it's like to be a student of this subject at this university?" you can say, "Yeah, because I've already done it." So tip number 1, live your dreams. Act as if you are already inhabiting that dream environment. My second tip is to be careful with what you interpret a dream to be. Of course, a dream could, if taken a bit too literally, become a fantasy, something that is delusional, something that is not particularly realistic. And you need to be careful because you can really harm yourself in the process of chasing something that is not terribly realistic or accurate to what is going to make you satisfied. So, for example, I figured when I was 17 years old that my dream university was Cambridge, and that if I didn't get into Cambridge, I would be crushed and I would be a sort of a husk of a human and unworthy of this planet. And so I was terribly disappointed and devastated when I didn't get into the University of Cambridge because I felt like I had somehow let my dreams slip past me. Actually, the content of my dreams really was to study politics in a nurturing academic environment. And it turned out that that was just as well satiated by the University of Bristol as it would have been at the University of Cambridge. And for various reasons at that age, I wasn't appropriate for the University of Cambridge, and so I wasn't admitted. The point I'm getting at is that be clear on what it is that is actually the contents of your dreams. Sometimes I think it's tempting to associate our dreams with a particular institution or a particular person or a particular thing. You know, it's very particular. When actually there's likely to be more transferability to our dream content. In other words, you can find out the core essence of what it is you would like, and you can move it around, just as I could move the desire to study politics at the highest level to a different university. You likely will be able to move your dreams around. And this just gives you more options. It means that you can have plan Bs and Cs and Ds that you'll be happy with, and you won't feel devastated and crushed if you don't achieve what you thought were your dreams. Okay, my third tip is that you need to be very clear on what your options are, and you need to choose carefully. In the UK, there's something on the order of 35,000 university courses listed on the UCAS website. There's a lot of choice, and you can be paralyzed by the paradox of choice, which is this phenomenon whereby we have so many options that it can become remarkably difficult to know which one we ought to choose. And the best way to navigate your way through that is going back to rule number 1, act as if you are already, living out your dreams. And if it turns out you don't enjoy a particular subject, then you can reverse out and go to another one. Another thing is to just be clear on how many things you can do with your current skill set. So let's say you're studying A-levels in maths, physics, and chemistry. You can do a lot of things with that. You could study those subjects at university, but you could also study something like material science at university. The acceptance rate for material science at Oxford is roughly 1 in 4, and therefore significantly less competitive than, say, physics. So the point I'm getting at is that be clear on what all your options are. Don't get sort of too tunnel visioned about, well, I must do this particular subject. And be in particular on guard for biased thinking, whereby your thought processes are predetermined by certain prejudicial thoughts, and they can come from all sorts of places. In other words, keep an open mind. The contents of your dream could be moved around to subjects that you're not necessarily that familiar with. And what we find is that people from less privileged backgrounds often cluster around our most competitive degrees because they perhaps think that those are the best ways to get ahead in life. So things like medicine and law. Whereas actually, if you get a good degree in anything from Oxford, you can become highly employable. So again, just be more clear as to all of the options that you have available to you. Okay. Rule number 4 is beware of decision fatigue and ego depletion. which sounds like awful bit of jargon, but let me explain it. So decision fatigue is a bit more obvious. That's where you just get so worn out by the process of trying to make decisions that you default and you sort of go back to some sort of, frankly, sort of slightly lazy position where you're just sort of settling, oh, that'll do, I'll stick with that. It's good to aspire and to be ambitious, but it takes energy and it takes a bit of self-care. You've got to sleep well, you've got to eat well, you've got to drink plenty of water. And ego depletion is what happens when you're overstretched and overtired and overstressed. And that sort of decision fatigue comes on if your ego is depleted. If you are not looking after yourself, if you're not sleeping terribly well, you're not eating terribly well, you're not drinking enough water, you could be utilizing other stimulants like caffeine or alcohol or drugs, and that is going to make your decisions worse in almost every scenario. So given that you want to proactively chase your dreams as effectively as possible, being ego depleted and fatigued are about the worst scenarios you can deal with. So try and give yourself a bit of a reset in terms of your bodily health, and then your mental health will also likely improve thereafter. My fifth bit of advice is that once you have worked out a decision, make the decision work. The thing with chasing dreams is that it can give this sense that the right answers will be delivered to us. It gives us a sort of sense of passivity. Actually, we are more in charge of our decisions and how they can succeed or fail. And so you need to, once you've made a decision, make it the best possible decision for you. So really work at making it the best possible. Classic example of this is finding the one, the person that you are in love with, right? Your soulmate who will just arrive at your door one day and will sweep you off your feet and will make your life happily ever after. It's not how relationships work, right? You have to make a bit of effort, and once you've found a special person, you have to make the relationship work. You have to put some energy and effort into it. You can't just sort of lackadaisically expect it to all just follow some script for the rest of your life. So some of the decisions you make won't always be perfect. They won't make you permanently happy, because nothing makes humans permanently happy. It's not a human default. But what you can do is to make proactive steps to improve the decisions you've taken once you've taken them. So continue to put effort into making it the best decision possible. So that's my advice for chasing your dreams. And I think the most important tip was tip number one: just live your dreams now. Don't wait for someone to give you the opportunities. Take the opportunities now. You can act as if you're already living out these dream scenarios today. You don't need to wait for someone else's permission. And that provides you a really good opportunity to test whether or not it is something that you would enjoy and be satisfied by. So don't wait. Start today, little and often, every day. Do a little bit of acting on your dreams and enjoy it. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much for watching. All the best. Bye.